Please define self-care for us, and could you give us some practical examples what you mean by that?
So I mean like self-nurturing, willing to feed yourself, willing to spend time and hear yourself and know yourself. And self-care is a relationship. It is the relationship that you have with you. So that's kind of what it is. And it's saying, do I notice how I feel? Do I give some time to feel my feelings? Do I make some time each day to spend time doing something I find fun? I think that's self-care. I like everybody's self-care to begin with. What would be fun? Do something fun. It can be small things, it can be bigger things, but do something every day that you find fun. I like self-care to begin with, just fun.
And
And then we build from there into the harder things that maybe you need to do for yourself or you're supposed to do. Sometimes doctors refer people to me and they're like, they really need to lose weight. Get them to do that self-care thing that you do and get them to lose weight. I'm like, I've never met anybody that said, I am so excited to work on weight loss.
Yeah.
So I would never start self-care there. Just start with, let's have some fun. What do you want to do? That's a good time.
This is why you're so unbelievably successful and such a pioneer, because that's just so brilliant. And I like to call it the pull is stronger than the push. You want something that's pulling your heart and your enthusiasm forward. That's so much more energizing and motivating. It's easier to get the inertia going when something's pulling you than when you're trying to push something forward, right?
Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
I love that.
The passion pulls you. So the fun is like, it's like a kid. Well, oh my God, who wouldn't want to do something fun? If you feel like that's fun, that's so motivating. Like, I'm in.
Yeah, that's it. Go have fun. That's self-care.
I love it. And unfortunately, Sarri, a lot of people these days, even when we, you ask them two things: how do you feel, or what do you do for fun? Crickets, right? They like, I don't know. They're so out of touch,
Oh, it's heartbreaking. That's why there's such a need for people to dig in. I like people to use journals.
Okay.
I have a journal book called, it came out this year, The Mystery of Knowing Journal. And it's so much fun. There's
Writing
like
your Odyssey. That's it.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. And it's all about self-care and boundaries. But it's simple pages and it's easy to write on, and there's doodles. Look at this little bear.
Oh,
It's fun because I want you to get in touch with what your voice says. And one of the only and best ways to do that is to journal. But lots of people hate journaling. So I made this book because I wanted to make something that people who hate journaling might like to do, to get you started in a practice of starting to listen to what could be fun for me. What might be a good idea for fun? Because maybe you don't know off the top of your head. Because like Amy, like you were saying, most people don't know, or they say, I haven't had time, or it's the pandemic, there is no fun. Or, it's like, well, there's lots of things that you could discover. I had a girlfriend say to me the other day, you won't believe this. Now, this is a highly creative person that does a lot of art stuff. And she said, I'm doing paint by number and I'm having so much fun.
Yeah.
And I said, wow, that is so cool to hear, because she was one who like creates and creates, but she was like, it's a little exhausting right now. Paint by number is so simple. And she said, I am just loving this. It's so relaxing. And so she found some fun in that. So I don't know where your fun is, but I know it's out there. There's something that will, as Amy says, pull you, capture your heart. I watched somebody say to me one year, this woman who was severely depressed, and depression is just, us not letting our soul have fun, us saying no to our souls all the time. Depression can come from lots of other things, but I always check, like, are you listening to your yeses? And so she said, when I was a little girl, I liked riding horses, and I always dreamed I would ride horses all my life. And she said, I haven't ridden a horse in 20 years. And I said, do you want to ride a horse? And she goes, yeah, she had that pole thing. I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, there's lots of places here where you can ride horses. You know, there are people rent them by the hour. Why don't you go
Sure.
ride a horse? Like,
Mhm.
give that a shot. And she was like, you think? Of course, now she owns a horse and she
Oh
travels
my.
and goes to all these horse shows. And like her whole life became about her horse, which was so beautiful to watch happen
Amazing.
for her. You know, she just like woke up into this. But, you know, I don't know what you need for self-care. That's why I can't stand all those things I see out there about, you know, this is what you're supposed to do for self-care and that's
Mhm.
what you're supposed to do. Like, how do they know?
Yep. And it's certainly a hell of a lot more than bubble baths and manicures.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, hello, that drives me crazy when people, that's what they think of self-care, you know, but I love, I mean, you actually said all of us are in the middle of a life story, and that story is shaped by what we say yes to and what we say no to.
Yes.
I mean, that's just so brilliant. And that our boundaries, we have to allow, quote unquote, I'm paraphrasing you, allow our boundaries to take care of us, because a lot of our stress and overwhelm is due to a lack of having boundaries. So I'm
Exactly.
paraphrasing Theory's words. And so tell us more. Can you just expand on, or maybe touch on any of all that gold in there, those
Well,
concepts?
let's talk about the wonderful person that wasn't horseback riding, who always loved horses.
Mm-hmm.
So their life story was becoming one of, I used to like that when I was a little girl, but as a grown up, I don't do that anymore. So their whole life, adulthood, was being spent doing other things that weren't
Mm-hmm.
giving them that sense of joy. But when they said yes, and allowed their life story to change, their whole life story changed. And I see that with people all the time. Once you know what's a real yes for you and what's a real no, and you allow yourself the adventure of life, the
Mm-hmm.
curiosity of life, to try things. Maybe you don't want to do, you know what I tried doing just a few years ago that I'd never done? Cross country skiing. I would like to die cross country skiing when I'm an old person. That's like the last thing I want to be doing when I take my last breath. I love cross country skiing. Now, had I never tried it, I had never tried it, so I didn't know I would love it so much. But that is changing, it changes the shape of how I spend my winters now.
Amazing.
Right? Because now my story is, my life starts looking like what I'm doing in winter is doing my cross country skiing, because that's when you do it, is in winter. And I never even knew that I like that. I had never tried it. So
How
you
long
have
have you
to,
been doing it?
3 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So you have to be curious about
Okay.
having an adventure, being willing. Maybe you don't know if you like horses or paint by number or cross country. I mean, part of what I want listeners to be willing to do is do some experiments. I
Be
want you to
open-minded.
hear those little sparks inside and say, I'm willing to try. Just give it a try. I'm willing to follow my curiosity and I'm willing to learn something new and I'm willing to try and see if I find it fun. You know, if that's something I
Mhm.
really enjoy.
Mhm. Almost like being a detective and just really having that open-mindedness and childhood curiosity of to life again, because that will bring the magic back, right? I mean, to a child, everything is new, everything is seen a fresh way and a unique creative way. And as adults, we've just lost all that joy and juice and like flavor of life.
Yes,
So
yes. And
sad.
we have to remember to kind of follow the fun,
Yes,
be
I love
willing,
that. Follow the
be,
fun.
be
Well,
willing to try.